But there's, there to be, beginning this effort for 2021 is, I think we've learned a few lessons from last year as well. There's help they're being there to help clear roads, rebuild main streets, and so that the families can get back to their lives. That's what FEMA does every single day.
Nailed it. As we report on the crisis at the border, we've overlooked a crisis between our borders: domestic migration. Americans who are moving from one state to another, also known as sweet freedom. We touched on it last week. Here's the big problem.
Yeah.
Domestic migration. Do you know what that is?
It's people moving from one place to another.
Yes, but they bring... He's right, but they're bringing their bad ideas with them. God, if I was any dumber, I'd be Nicole Wallace. So it's the cause and effect that comes from being overtaxed, underprotected, and treated like crap. It's like you're permanently living on a Delta flight. As David Keltz in the American Spectator reports, California, New York, New Jersey, Michigan, and Illinois, all states in the Union, Cat, lost a combined 4 million residents. And that's not even including gun or COVID victims. They're losing people quicker than CNN's primetime. Meanwhile, Republican-led states like Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Ohio, and Arizona saw large increases. That's from the U.S. Census Bureau, which is likely underestimating this shift, since who fills out a census form when they're in the ER with a knife wound sitting next to the guy who knifed you? But this mass exodus from blue to red raises the key question. How much aggravation will this migration bring to the resident population? What do these new neighbors bring with them besides their arms are made for hugging bumper stickers and their hankering for responsibly raised chicken? Well, they're used to being taxed. California has the highest income tax rate in America at 13.3%. All of it goes to Gavin Newsom's hair products. God forbid a duck ever gets stuck in that mess. They're also used to anti-gun laws that prevent you from protecting your family. As crime soars in Manhattan and police are making fewer arrests, I still can't get a gun from my apartment, and I'm a huge star on basic cable, who does get death threats, mostly from Tyrus, when he catches me trying on his pants. Now compare that to the places these people are moving to: Florida, Texas, and Tennessee. They have no income tax. No income tax. I don't even know what that's like. It must be like doing a wonderful drug. Meanwhile, Texas lawmakers just approved a measure allowing people to carry handguns without a license. Fact check me on this, but I believe even your gun is required to wear a smaller gun. So you have more money in your pocket, and basically people will leave you alone purely for safety reasons. That is heaven, the opposite of a blue state. In California, with violent crime, lost jobs, businesses closing, lockdowns, homelessness, suddenly the city by the bay looks like the city by the Bay of Pigs. It's nowhere to raise a family, unless your kids really like camping. In 2020, over 135,000 people fled California in their feces-encrusted Crocs. That's more people who have seen Joy Reid's show in 7 years. It's so bad there that when you step in dog poop, you think, I'm so glad it's dog poop. Of course, the rich libs don't care. The homeless will never get past their gate, the gate that does the exact same thing as Trump's wall that they've been calling racist for the last 4 years. Meanwhile, 3.57 million people left New York City. 357. Rather ironic, since if they could have owned guns, many would have stayed. New York used to be a tourist destination, but what's to see besides people being attacked in Times Square? Maybe that's a whole new type of tourism, live crime. You'll have a great story if you survive. But what about Broadway, Greg? Well, who wants to get slashed by a homeless guy while waiting in line? I'm going to see Death of a Salesman, not Death of a Customer. The Big Apple has become the Big Sleep. Murders jumped 45% from 2019 to 2020, with a nearly 100% increase in shootings. Seems like the only businesses making money are funeral homes. New York has lost $34 billion in revenue due to this exodus. That's more than I make in a year. And let's not forget New Jersey nearby. I know we want to. With the most COVID deaths per capita, even with strict lockdowns. And then you got Michigan, it's become a joke with massive unemployment and its silly governor scolding citizens while she cavorts maskless with friends. And then, of course, there's Chicago with a mayor who thinks racism is a solution to rising homicides and shootings. I wonder what the angry white male has to say.
Yeah, I suppose I would consider moving. Then there's always option 2. Buy a lot of supplies and declare my basement my own country.
Ugh. If he was any whiter, he'd be Brett Baer's teeth. So what's the angry black male have to say?
What's up? People leaving the blue states, moving to the red states, huh? Yeah, no kidding. That's what I did. Oh yeah, been there, done that. So I guess y'all be my neighbors. Howdy, neighbor.
So will those who leave bring their Louis Vuitton bags filled with bad ideas with them? And if they do, how do you, a Texan, a Floridian, a Tennessean, stop them? Turns out maybe you can't. But what you can do as a friendly neighbor is introduce them to the finer points of life. Start with a bundt cake in the shape of a Glock. A housewarming gift, if you will. Tell them it's loaded with whiskey and gluten. Then maybe show them how to use your BB gun on local varmints. See, it's baby steps. That's the gateway drug to freedom. Then take them shooting. Before you know it, they'll be putting a gun rack on Junior's stroller. And if they don't, do it for them. That's only neighborly. Let's welcome tonight's guest. We call him Loverboy because he's always working for the weekend. Fox and Friends weekend co-host and host of the Will Kane podcast, Will Kane. He's the only money expert we trust with our swear jar. Bonson Group founder and National Review writer David Bonson. She'd be woke if it weren't for all the Ambien. Fox News contributor Kat Tim. And he hands back the menu and says, yes. My massive sidekick and host of the Set Up Station, Tyrus.
Yes, I can.
You know, Tyrus, pertaining to the angry black male thing, what advice would you give to your neighbor if your neighbor comes from a blue state?
Stay off my grass. I'm not joining any of your clubs. I don't want to hear a funny story, and I don't want to hear about any of your other black friends. Act accordingly.
There you go.
I think that's pretty, I mean, that's basically all you can ask for.
That is true.
The one thing I learned very quickly going from California to Louisiana, we all mind our own business there. I mean, we're cool. Everyone knows everybody. Good morning, but it's short. Anything longer than that's liberal, and everyone stares at you. You're allowed about 15 to 20 seconds to get your good mornings in, and then you can make a comment about the trees growing a little bit over.
Yeah.
If you want to look at it this weekend, yeah, I'll get to that, and that's about it.
Yes.
Just don't act brand new. Act
Yes.
like you're supposed to be there, and just. It's okay for uncomfortable silences when two guys get in their trucks going to work. It's fine. You don't have to fill it with, hey, did you see what was going on in the sports yesterday?
Yes.
I know you don't watch sports because you said, did you see what's going on in the sports yesterday? So just relax, libs. Just relax. We're accepting. Just don't, act like you own the place or be sadder than me.
Yeah.
I saw that Netflix special on slavery, bro. That's going to piss me off.
Will, you still live in Texas?
Yes, still live in Texas. Born and raised in Texas, lived here for 15 years, and now I'm part of this statistic you're quoting. I left New York in January, like Tyrus, to get back to my roots and to get back to a red state. And my advice is assimilate. What you said last weekend, you moved here for a reason. Don't bring the reasons that you left the last place to this place. Assimilate.
Yes, but however, here's the problem. There's a combination of Stockholm Syndrome and amnesia. They leave, and then they forget why they left, and then they kind of like almost replant the bad ideas. That's the weird thing.
I can say there's legitimate concern. I don't know about Louisiana, but there's definite legitimate concern in Texas among the natives that this place is going to get changed. All these people moving from California.
Oh, like to blue?
Yeah.
In Louisiana?
To blue.
No.
And here's what I've learned, and here's what they've said. There's two different groups of people moving to Texas. There are those that are moving because they're escaping a lockdown state. They're moving to a free state. And those people understand and are ready to be free. The people that are moving for economic conditions, their jobs have pulled them down to Texas, those are the ones you have to worry about who are bringing their politics with them.
Is there any way, David, to like stop them from watching this? I think it's happening in Austin. Where do you live?
So I'm half the time here in Manhattan, half the time in Newport Beach, California. So I'm like taking one for the team here in both states. Like I'm doing everything wrong.
Right.
But no, I think the reality is, you said it, when people don't want the crime and they don't want the taxes, the regulation, I think they take some of those things. They won't take all of them. It's like when all of it piles on together. But you look at Arizona's going to have more Californians in the Phoenix area in a few years than it has Arizonans. That blue state to red state deal is real. But I think for the most part, even when they go for economic reasons, I still think they kind of know we want at least a sort of purple state mentality. I don't think it's totally sociological that they want all the blue state stuff they left. It hasn't happened yet. No states have totally flipped for migration.
I was in a purple state once.
Okay. Nope. Not doing that.
You don't even know what I was talking about.
I know where it's going, and I'm saying no.
Look, I read
Kat,
about
it's your time. Kat,
I read about it in a magazine.
Of
and
course
it
you
wasn't
did.
supposed to go that way.
Was the magazine had a fruit name by any chance?
Kat, what people don't understand is that it's not just a contrast in services, but also who you share your services with. For example, if you were to go to the hospital for an emergency in a nice suburban town, you might be fine, but in Midtown Manhattan, you could be in hell.
Yep, went through that last night, and it was in hell. My husband's, infected bug bite, leg exploded, very disgusting.
Or so he says.
Yeah.
Who gets an infected bug bite?
It's called cellulitis. I can send you some photos while you're eating if you want. And it was crazy. We went there, and we really didn't fit in because we forgot to stay up for 4 or 5 days on drugs, committing crimes before we went in there. I mean, you go to an ER, there's always going to be, shall we say, characters there. Okay?
Right.
This was all character. I did not see evidence of anyone suffering from something that had to do with a pathogen or a kitchen knife accident.
Right.
Okay, and there's like people in handcuffs, like people screaming. I didn't hear a sneeze. I didn't hear a cough. Okay, I heard Obama killed my grandpa. You. That I heard. Okay.
So wait, Kilmeade was there?
Yeah, like that. There was a guy trying to break into the fridge where they keep like all the little sandwiches. Someone, tweaker who had been up for God knows how, crawling off the cot, pointing to Cam, like, your ankle is big. Like, it was crazy. There was nobody else there that was just like, oh, I'm suffering from, something. But you know how bad it is the first question they asked my husband, who's like the preppiest dude you've ever seen in your life, was, were you injecting drugs in that foot? Because that's all they see.
Did you have his back, or were you like, well, were you?
Yes, were you?
Well, explain to the doctor.
Sitting there in his army lacrosse hoodie, asking him if he's injecting drugs. No.
Well, that would be Occam's razor. The simplest explanation would be he was injecting drugs and not this spider bite. But we won't get into that here. We'll discuss it in the break. Maybe we'll have some kind of session. All right.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.